Kunja Vihar. Gopijana Balabha Girivadadhari Balabha Girivadadhari Gopijana Balabha Girivadadhari Girivadadhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Nandana Brajajanaran Yamanatira Vanachadi Jamanatira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivadadhari Girivadadhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivadadhari Girivadadhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamanatira Vanachadi Jamanatira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Jayom Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Parivitakacharadja Astatarasatasi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaur Pimanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're continuing this morning with Canto 10, Chapter 38. Plan is we'll cover 2 verses, starting with 21 and then 22. So 10, 38, 21. Akrura is speaking or praying or contemplating. Having been embraced by the all-famous Lord Krishna, I will humbly stand before him with bowed head and joined palms, and he will address me, my dear Akrura. At that very moment, my life's purpose will be fulfilled. Indeed, the life of anyone whom the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Personality, fails to recognize is simply pitiable. Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur writes, quote, when he calls out to me, "Oh, uncle," my life will become successful. Otherwise, my life is useless. One is unfortunate if one does not get respected by great persons. Jiva Goswami writes, not satisfied, he develops another desire. He's greedy, spiritually. By getting contact with Krishna's body, Akrura in joy offers respects again. With my hands folded, he will say to me, my dear Akrura. He indicates the Lord's great mercy. The Lord has immense fame because of qualities like unconditional mercy, urushravaha. My birth will become successful. This indicates that this last desire is the greatest among them all, since by loving words of the Lord one can attain the highest bliss. The desires stated are increasingly greater in succession. He who is not addressed by the Lord has a useless birth. The word eva indicates that if the Lord at some time speaks to him, then his birth will become successful. The word amusha, or that person, indicates an unseen person situated far from the Lord. It also shows he is greatly disrespected by the Lord, not being spoken to by the Lord. His birth is useless because he is so low and fallen, he cannot be even mentioned. Although he may be elevated by birth, but still he is useless. Sridhar Swami calls such a person, quote, a creature. And the final paragraph for this verse, being disrespected by the great Lord, he lacks all good qualities. If he is not respected by a great servant of the Lord, full of qualities like mercy, mahiyasa, his birth is useless. What to speak of his uselessness if he were disrespected by the Lord, who is full of sweet qualities like mercy. And text 22, we're almost completing the whole section of his thoughts before reaching Vrindavan, or as he's approaching, seeing Krishna's footprints. This is an important verse. It's similar to Bhagavad Gita. Text 22 reads, the Supreme Lord has no favorite and no dearmost friend. Samaham sarvabhuteshu. Nor does he consider anyone undesirable. So that's a third. Despicable or fit to be neglected. At the same time, he lovingly reciprocates with his devotees in whatever manner they worship him, just as the trees of heaven fulfill the desires of whoever approaches them. Same as Bhagavad Gita. So here we go. The BBT purport for this verse says, the Lord says something similar in Bhagavad Gita 9:29. You know the verse, right? Samaham sarvabhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mayite teshu chapyaham. Translation, I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I'm equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend and is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya was as hard as a thunderbolt for those who envied him, and soft as a rose for those who understood his divine mission. That's the BBT purport. Here's Vishwanath. He starts with a question. But the Supreme Lord should be equal to all at all times. How is it possible that he should show special friendship to some? Answer. Although Krishna is neither a dear friend nor enemy of anyone, he responds to his devotees. This is shown in the statement, Samoham Sarvabhuteshu, etc. And also, according to the type of worship, Krishna responds accordingly. As the verse says, Yayatamam prapadyante. It is just as, according to the amount of surrender to the kalpavriksha, one gets a corresponding bestowal of results. As there is no discrepancy if the kalpavriksha does not give fruits to a person who does not take shelter of it, so there is no discrepancy if the Lord does not give friendship to those who do not take shelter of him. However, whereas the Lord is dependent upon his devotees, the kalpavriksha is not dependent on those who take shelter of it. Therefore, according to devotion, the Lord shows either friendship, enmity, or neutrality. Final, the Lord showed friendship to Ambarish, and to envious Durvasa he showed hatred and indifference. Vishwanath, in another commentary that he wrote, similar, someone may object. The Supreme Lord should be equal to all at all times. Why should he show special friendship to someone like you? Akrura responds to this objection in this verse. Though Krishna is neither a dear friend nor enemy of anyone, still he reciprocates with his devotees. As stated in 929 Bhagavad Gita, he quotes it. The words, yata tata, yata tata, as this, so that, mean that Krishna responds to his devotees according to how they worship him. This is in accordance with Krishna's statement, Yayatamam prapadyante, tangs tadaiva bhajamyaham, 4:11 Bhagavad Gita. As all surrender unto me and reward them accordingly. The words sura drumo yadvad. So sura drumo, that's a heavenly tree. Druma means tree, and sura drumo is a heavenly tree or desire tree. Like a heavenly desire tree, indicates how the various degrees of fruits awarded correspond to the various degrees of shelter taken. And really comprehensive commentary by Jiva Goswami. Very detailed, so get ready for some detail, towards the end especially. Question. Embracing and speaking together as friends are human actions. How is it proper for the Lord to do this, since the Lord's desires are already fulfilled, and he is neutral to all beings? Answer: a person becomes the object of affection, dayata, or priyaha, because of his good qualities, and becomes an object of dislike, apriyaha, because of his faults. Another person cannot be classified as either, since he is not attracted to seeing good qualities or faults in others. He does good acts for others. He becomes the object of gratitude, suhritamaha. The opposite is a person who tries to harm you. He becomes the object of hatred, dveshayaha. Another person neither benefits nor causes harm. So he's got these three categories. Neutral or indifference is the third. Seeing everything as one, he is the object of indifference, upekshaha. That is true. The Lord does see people in terms of good qualities, bad qualities, good acts or bad acts, or indifference. The Lord responds only to the devotees. The word va should be connected with the object of indifference. Thus, the Lord does not treat anyone as favored or the best friend of anyone, nor does he treat them as an enemy, nor does he treat anyone as indifferent. Though he does not treat anyone in these ways, he responds to the devotees. And though he does not treat people as friend, enemy, or neutral, he does not respond to the non-devotee. He makes his appearance according to the mood in which they worship. He comes under their control. He quotes Bhagavatam 9:4-63. This is Vishnu speaking to Durvasa Muni. 9:4-63. O Brahmana, I am completely under the control of my devotees. I'm not at all independent. My heart is controlled by the pure devotees. What to speak of my devotee? Even those who are devotees of my devotee are very dear to me. He loses his neutrality. Again, quotes 9:29 Bhagavad Gita, I'm equal to all living beings, etc. There's a similar verse in, again, the Durvasa Muni section, 9:4-68, toward the end of the chapter, that a pure devotee is my very heart. What pains him pains me. I am the heart of the pure devotee. What pleases him pleases me. My devotees do not know anything else but me, and I do not know more than they do. Interesting translation. It has previously been shown that for the Lord not to show mercy to his devotees would be a fault. Thus, unkindness and cruelty are rejected in the Lord, since his heart is untouched by material qualities or faults and is touched by bhakti. Particulars can be found in Bhakti Sandarbha and Paramatma Sandarbha. This is Jiva Goswami saying, I'm going to talk more about it in these other two places, and he does. It's a very long section in Bhagavad Sandarbha on this. In Moksha Dharma it is said, Moksha Dharma, that's a section of Mahabharata, Moksha Dharma. Higher than these are the trees which see. Higher than these are the trees which smell. Doesn't explain the reference. Being an expansion of the devatas in full consciousness, the desire tree consciously responds to the person who consciously prays for something. However, without consciously desiring, though the Lord embraces, etc., all mercy is manifested to fulfill all desires. The desired tree's mercy responds with a blessing to the one who requests. Otherwise, the desire tree just stands there. And that's when it's approached. So we're going to hear now. Sanatana Goswami goes even more deeply into this. So it's subtle. You have to listen carefully. Sanatana Goswami writes, the Lord does not consider a person. He is indifferent. The word va indicates a side glance. No one is dear, since he is equal to all as Lord of the universe. Even so, he favors the devotees. He fulfills their desires, but not the desires of others, just as the desire tree served nicely gives results. By giving to those who take shelter and not giving to those who do not take shelter, there is no discrepancy. There is no fault in the Lord for fulfilling the devotee's desires. He gives results for bhakti. Or, the Lord responds properly, yatha, to the devotees like the desire tree. The Lord responds to the devotee in the proper manner, yatha tata. In this world, by friendly service, someone does not become dear to one, or by lending assistance, or by birth, a person does not become the best friend. The dearest or best friendship, which is permanent, arises naturally. The Lord also does not become friend or enemy just because a person's friendly, just by a person's friendly or inimical acts. He becomes to the friend or enemy to please the devotee and benefit everyone. I think you should take out the word to. He becomes the friend or enemy to please the devotee and benefit everyone. Doubt. Without showing favorites, he must be indifferent. No. Response. He is not indifferent. Being most merciful, he acts for the benefit of all jivas. The word na is repeated to emphasize his lack of favoritism. He responds to persons who serve him in a friendly manner, bhaktan. He shows affection even to those who may not be dear, who have not shown acts of dearness previously. The desire tree responds when one takes shelter of it and makes a request. Thus, the Lord will fulfill my desires, although I have taken shelter of Kamsa, who should be considered an enemy, and though I perform ordinary service only. Now it gets tricky. He's going to refute these number of the things he just said. Or the double negative can indicate a positive. He explains. When Krishna has beloved ones and friends, sometimes he is being treated affectionately, unaffectionately. When he has beloved ones and friends, sometimes he is being treated unaffectionately. sometimes being hated, sometimes being ignored. Is he like the desire tree, which gives to a person who simply approaches? No. He responds beyond that simple relationship. So there was this discussion as a desire tree is approached, the desire tree responds. Now he's rejecting that idea based on this double negative logic. he can give even if not approached. Well, yayatamam prapadyante, according to their surrender, I respond. Is that the meaning? No. So it goes beyond approach, it goes beyond surrender. How do you respond, Krishna? As much as all men follow the path of bhakti, I respond. The more worship, the more results. This is Sanatana Goswami's way of explaining that verse from Bhagavad Gita and this one here also that seems to be contradictory. And the emphasis he's placing here is it's responsive to bhakti. And if there isn't bhakti, he can still be kind, but he's specifically responsive to bhakti. Or, you do not have dear ones or friends. This expresses Akrura's misery. Without gaining the Lord's affection, his life is unsuccessful. Question. But you do not reject anyone. Everyone is dear to you. Na apriyaha. Everyone is dear to you. You do not hate anyone. You are not indifferent to anyone. Then how can Kamsa be killed? Will my desires not be fulfilled? He's going beyond the exchange with him. He's going to be killing Kamsa, and Akrura desires him to kill Kamsa, and so many people, so many devotees. Answer. You respond to the devotees by killing Kamsa. You fulfill the desires of the devotees and not others. Or, this is the last paragraph for this morning. Do you not have great devotees, Dayata, and close friends? Yes, you do. Great devotees in Vaikuntha are Garuda and others. And in Goloka, Sridham, Radha, and others. Great friends are Kashyapa and Nanda and others. He will not consider my worship, which is slight and filled with material desire. I am not dear to him. Apriyaha. Because of my association with Kamsa. Still, he responds to the devotees, even if they have bad association. He is attracted to the devotion. An example is given of attaining results by worship. What's that example? The desire tree. Thus, although I have bad association by my impure worship, he will be merciful to me nonetheless. So there's a lot going on here. There's his escalation of desire, his greediness for Krishna's mercy, and it goes from the different stages, showing his form, accepting his obeisances, touching his head, smiling and glancing, embracing, speaking some kind words. That's one of the main features. The escalation and anticipation of meeting, eagerness to meet Krishna. What is it going? What will be the reciprocation with Krishna, and what he will be feeling, and the consequence of no material desires and completely purified and no fear and so many things like that. Then another dimension of what's going on here is an explanation, expanded meaning, the Bhagavatam taking 929 Bhagavad Gita and explaining it yet further, the Samoham Sarvabhuteshu, which is a verse that some people get confused by because it sounds, overtly, it sounds contradictory. He's equal and he's partial. So is he equal or is he partial? And he's not. It's not a contradiction. It appears to be a contradiction. And really nice explanation I mentioned. It's in Bhagavad Sandarbha, where those things that are seen as faults in Krishna are actually qualities. We touched on this before. Remember? 16, according to Yama Tantra, as reference that Jiva Goswami invokes, there are mahadoshas. There's so many unlimited faults in this world, and there's 16 mahadoshas. And they're, except for two, they're found in Krishna, but they're not faults, they're qualities. And he explains and gives examples. So that this looks like a fault. That's the kind of thread that's being woven. Wait a minute, you're supposed to be equal to everybody. Well, he's equal to everybody, but he's not equal to everybody. That is to say, he reciprocates with bhakti. And the same is not there for those that don't have bhakti. In one sense, it's like the desire tree. The desire tree gives according to what the desire tree is approached for. And the desire tree doesn't give if someone doesn't approach. But Krishna's kindness goes beyond that, especially for the devotee. And for the devotee, it's very special. Krishna becomes purchased. That's this reference to it, Vishnu speaking to Durvasa Muni. Krishna is fully independent, and the fullness of that independence he places at the disposal of his devotee. I'll do what they want. That's the stage of prema. Krishna, from Nectar of Devotion, there's 6 characteristics of devotional service, and the last 2 of the 6 are specific to prema, and it's rarely achieved. It's rarely achieved because when Krishna gives, we have this language, Krishna awards prema to some devotees, but it's rare because when he awards prema, he's purchased. He'll do whatever they say, not the other way around. It's his loving nature. So that stage of prema is rare to achieve. And for one who has achieved it, that's this special position. Now supposing, we're not at the prema stage, or those who are not at the prema stage, what about them? Even a little devotion Krishna reciprocates with. Then there's those that don't overtly manifest devotion. There's something inside, at the heart level, at the soul level, there's Krishna prema already within, but when it's not manifest, instead it's aversion, then there can be this indifference. Like some people just don't care. They're so busy with material life. But that been busy with material life that they don't care, that's also rejection. They may not go on a campaign to broadcast atheism in an active, aggressive, hurtful way, but their life is averse to Krishna anyways. So Krishna responds with each person according to their regard for him, and therefore, as he responds to his devotees who approach him with even some small amount of loving service, he reciprocates. And it's perfectly natural. It's not a fault, it's a quality. And so, one last thing. Particularly Sanatana Goswami's commentary, he goes over it backwards and forwards and sideways to look at this dynamic of the how to understand, is the Lord neutral or is the Lord partial, and in terms from different angles and different perspectives, one can see it in different ways. Bottom line, he has a loving nature, and because of his loving nature, he reciprocates in a loving way with those who extend loving regard towards him. Again, circling back to the like the heavenly desire tree. The heavenly desire tree. Krishna is there eternally. Akrura is approaching him. He knows who Krishna is, and not only he's a relative, but he knows him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And with that understanding, imagine his feelings that he's going to see the Personality of Godhead. And the Personality of Godhead is going to do this and that and the other thing because of his merciful nature. He has a continual sense of humility. He's unworthy and unfit and so forth, materially contaminated and so forth. My bhakti is very minuscule. I'm not like these other exalted devotees that are very dear to him in these in Vaikuntha like Garuda, or in Vrindavan like Sridham and Radha. I mean, I'm not like that. Or outside other exalted devotees, I'm a small person, like us, right? We're small persons. So will he really take notice and show kindness to us? That's a doubt. He has, in humility, he has that doubt. What to speak of ourselves is not just humility; it's just reality. We're quite small and we're quite insignificant and quite covered. Will he really? And the affirmative is yes. And why? It's his nature. Even our bhakti is very tiny. Yes, because it's his nature. And we can rely on that. And we can become enlivened and energized and enthusiastic, even with the little bhakti that we have, to receive special mercy. As tiny as we are and remote as we are and inconsequential and all of that, it's encouraging. His words are encouraging us to go forward with enthusiasm. I was listening just this morning to the verse from the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where determination is described, the example of the sparrow, and the ocean and the sparrow's eggs and Garuda and all that. Determination. He is continuing to move forward. We must also continue to move forward on the bhakti path, not mechanically, not blindly, not imaginatively, with our eyes wide open about who we are, where we are, and the nature of Krishna, and very determined, with subset of many other things. Utsahan, Nishaya, Daryat, etc. Prabhupada's explanation this morning was those are all subsets of one thing, determination. So determination is made up of all those things. So we should be very determined and very confident and very patient, very enthusiastic, determined in this lifetime, despite our shortcomings and all those things. That's the price, according to Rupa Goswami's teaching. This laulyam, intense eagerness, desire, greed. So we're not at that stage yet. Greed, but our cultivation of bhakti is to strengthen that desire and the anticipation, the yearning, followed by enthusiasm, followed by spontaneous. That's our life, our bhakti life. Let's see if there's some discussion. In the back.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for explaining, Maharaj. So, I need a little bit clarification. One thing, like Bhishma is also a devotee of Krishna, and when he took the side of Kaurava, who was doing adharma, correct? So at that time, Bhishma has to suffer, and a kind of punishment he got, correct? So my question is, at that time, even if you are a devotee and you are associated with non-devotee, at that time, how Krishna is helping at that time?
Well, everything has details. Let's take Vidura or Vibhishan or Prahlad. Those are three examples. They were associating with non-devotees. I mean, with Prahlad, it was with demons. And with Vibhishan, it was with demons. So how does the Lord reciprocate? A lot of the reciprocation of the Lord depends upon one's regard for him. So here we're circling back. It's Akrura's and Kamsa's association, his direct service. He's going as a messenger of Kamsa. That's bad. Bring Krishna so I can kill him. That's bad. So, but it's at the bhakti is at the heart level, and Krishna knows that that's all of what we're hearing. So Bhishma, it's not just because he was in the company of Duryodhana and bad people. That he had to suffer. Okay? More. Go ahead, give him the microphone.
Did not put my question a little bit clearly. So, as far I understand, Bhishma also a great devotee of Krishna.
He is, yes.
So, like Krishna should take care, like what is the desire of Bhishma, and Bhishma did not want to that war to be happen. So why Krishna did not stop that war or do something to keep the desire of Bhishma?
Well, why did the war take place? Despite Bhishma's desire that the war should not take place. That's your question.
Yeah,
Is that your question?
yeah,
There are many persons that wanted the war to take place, and Krishna is one of them. The demigods wanted the destruction. Mother Earth, Lord Brahma, please remove the demoniac forces from the face of the earth. Many, many devotees were oppressed by the influence of demoniac kings. Krishna was going to remove them. It's not exactly as you portrayed it, that Bhishma didn't want the war to take place. And Krishna kind of like skipped over his desire that he didn't want the war to take place, and he let the war he arranged for the war. So Bhishma's what's Bhishma's desire? He's Dasya Bhakta, he's a great authority. He only wants what Krishna wants. That's what Bhishma. So there's other examples. The gopis didn't want Krishna. All the residents of Vrindavan didn't want Krishna to leave Vrindavan. He left Vrindavan, and they were really sad, devastated. So how could Krishna disappoint the residents of Vrindavan? That's a better example than Bhishma didn't want the war to take place. Krishna may do things that looks like he's betraying the desire of his pure devotees. That's really what your question is. That's several answers specifically to Krishna's leaving Vrindavan. For example, as he never left Vrindavan, in the sense that he entered into the hearts of all the residents of Vrindavan, and he was with them within their hearts. And he did return after he annihilated the demons. And he didn't come back until he annihilated the demons, according to our acharyas, because if he had gone back to Vrindavan, then the demons would have attacked and harassed the Brijbasis, and Krishna didn't want that. So he didn't go back. He didn't go back until the demons were killed. And he went back for 2 months after Dantavakra was killed to reciprocate with them. And then he sent them back to the spiritual world. And their apricot lila resumed, the unmanifest stage of their eternal pastimes. So it's, there's deep mysteries, certainly, not easy to understand, deep mysteries. But Krishna had a plan to have the residents of Vrindavan feel separation, intensified love in his physical absence, Vipralamba Bhav, it's intensification of love. And he was feeling those same feelings that they were feeling because of the kind of love that they have for him. He has the same kind of love for them. So he was feeling those feelings too for his ecstasy of love and separation. It's worldly looks like bad. Why did he do that? That's bad. Why did Ram let Sita be kidnapped, captured by Ravan. He's all powerful and omniscient. Why did he just bonk him? Put him out of commission, etc. It wasn't fair. Look at poor Sita. How much did she suffer, and how much did Ram's incent, and so on and so on. So one can't look at the pastimes of Krishna in a superficial way. One has to go to a deeper level to understand the Lord's pastimes. He's reciprocating love with his devotees always, in different ways, but not by our material inspection necessarily, because we would never do something like that. That's bad. Leave Vrindavan, leave them devastated, and he knows it. Balaram tried to persuade him to go. They're going to die. Krishna didn't go. So Balaram went. Anyway, it's loving exchange in different ways that we by material standards cannot understand.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. We are very insignificant. Some other words used in the description that it is true that, and Krishna is, our confidence is that Krishna is very merciful, even though I'm very insignificant. So my question is about here in this verse 20, Akrura is talking about recognition.
About what?
Recognition?
Recognition.
Yeah. So, and we also read in the commentaries that some appreciation or recognition is required to move forward in devotional service. And at the same time, we also have Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Amanena Manadena, that not even expecting any respect and recognition. I'm thinking, how do I understand these two?
How do you understand which two? Amanina Manidena on one hand, what's the other hand?
Lord's
Akrura wanting recognition. Yeah. Okay, that's a nice question. Just considering the question itself, what does Amanina Manadena mean? Is is the hope, the enthusiasm of Akrura in contradiction to Amanina Manadena? He wasn't exactly wanting praise and recognition. He was wanting loving reciprocation, which isn't the same. Supposing somebody cooks a nice meal and they're wanting to know, did the people that ate the nice meal, did they like it? They're wanting some recognition, a pat on the back and some praise, some honor. No, so that's different than what Akrura was wanting. He wanted the Krishna connection. It's not material. His desire is not material. We may do something that looks like that and it's material. It's just his Krishna connection. That's all. Okay, we're going to do some online questions. There are none. Okay, so you have something. Go ahead.
From the commentaries, it looked like the spotlight was clearly put on the potency of bhakti and
Yes.
also on the merciful nature of the Supreme Lord Krishna.
Yes.
Um, and also at the stage of prema, Krishna puts himself at the discretion of the devotees.
Yes.
So does it mean that bhakti is even more powerful than the compassionate nature of Krishna?
Sure. Madan Mohan Mohini, the attractor of Cupid. Krishna is controlled by the love of his devotees. Same way of saying, different ways of saying the same thing. But prema bhakti, that's very, very special. Yep. Anything else? Okay. Prabhupada ki jai.